Hi, I'm Nancy Thellman. I'm currently the County Commissioner for District 2. I've been there for near completing 3 terms, and I'm seeking a 4th term. I'm a native of Lawrence. I went through Lawrence Public Schools, and I have a degree from the University of Kansas, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I was a nurse in the ICUs at the Med Center for 8 years. My husband and I moved to Nashville, where he did his surgical residency, and I managed in those 8 years to change careers. I went to Vanderbilt Divinity School and got a Master's of Divinity, and I am an ordained Presbyterian minister and have been so for almost 25 years. When we moved to Lawrence to settle our family and start Scott's practice, we ended up actually on a farm in rural Grant Township. We've been on that farm and in the 2nd District for 20 years. I would tell you that it's extremely important to have rural voices on the Douglas County Commission, because that is the only voice the rural folks have in this county, and their voice really matters. I think also the length of stay in the district, knowing the district well by living there. I know my district inside and out, the rural part, the urban part, and everything in between. Initiatives I have led since 2009 on the County Commission include opening up the Sustainability Office, starting the first Food Policy Council in Kansas, starting the E-Community Program, which is a program of Network Kansas for small businesses in our small towns, starting the Heritage Conservation Council to invest in our special lands and places, and I'm the lead commissioner on the behavioral health initiatives that are a countywide effort at mental health and substance use treatment and prevention. I'm the lead commissioner on the behavioral health campus, so the crisis center and the special housing that is currently under construction. I'm also the lead commissioner on our efforts to begin open space planning as a way to plant a flag in future parks and trails all across the county, as well as work toward climate mitigation. And I'm also helping my colleagues on the County Commission to work on our issues of racial inequity and social inequity, especially in criminal justice and in all the public health issues that are now coming out so vividly. So in this moment, I think it's clear we have more challenges than usual with COVID and a downward economy and unemployment and uncertainty in every angle of life. And I think this moment calls for experienced leadership. I have nearly 12 years of budgeting experience. We've just finished our 12th budget, and that will be passed in August and passed on to the state. We have a good history at the county of knowing how to govern locally and having good relationships with our partners, both locally and at state and federal levels. So my wish is to have a 4th term. My hope is that you'll support me. And I'm really grateful to the Chamber for this opportunity.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is my 2nd ever forum. So my history in Douglas County is I came here as a 17-year-old to attend the University of Kansas in 1983. I grew up mostly on the East Coast and moved here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. In 1987, under the guidance of my father and stepmother, I graduated with a degree in French from the University of Kansas. And I married my husband, John, in 1989, and we've been married 30 years. Basically for an entire decade, from 1990 to 1999, I had 5 kids. We have 2 daughters, 3 sons, and most of them are living here in Douglas County or over in Topeka. In 1992, we started Morning Star Church, which is a really something I've been very proud to be a part of. I think, have an amazing and diverse community I've enjoyed every part of that journey of building that and working with the people in that community and with other faith communities in Lawrence. Along the way, we've had some foster kids and other, young people that have lived with us. We've had college people live with us. Basically, our house has something of a revolving door. For the last 2 years, we've had 3 teenage boys that are in foster care, and this is something that I really care deeply about. I think it's the problem of fractured and at-risk families and children is something that I care about, and if this whole thing doesn't work out, I'll focus more on that probably We have 4 grandchildren. I've spent the last 30 years really at the ground level of our community, involved with people in all parts of Douglas County and in Lawrence and Douglas County. I haven't spent any time on any boards, which I actually think is a strength at this point. But I have been where I've, talking with other people who are experiencing living out a lot of the, decisions that are made. And we have thoughts about those things. So in my job, I lead volunteers, which must be done by casting vision and equipping and collaborating with people and listening, and having fun along the way too. So that's just, something that really has been important. So leadership for me involves the principles more of listening rather than talking, developing empathy, self-awareness, persuasion rather than positional authority. Haven't been able to lead much by positional authority. And vision, and valuing people and empowering them to be participants, which I think is a goal we should have. I decided to run for county commission because, like many other people who live here, I love Douglas County, I love Lawrence, plan to call it home until I can possibly figure out a way to move to a beach. And my experience is that we have a great community of creative and engaged and caring and diverse people. They're intelligent, they're entrepreneurial, and I felt like we've lacked a holistic vision.
Well, thank you so much for being here this morning, and thank you to the Lawrence Chamber for organizing this. I'd like to start this morning by saying Black Lives Matter. We're at an important moment where America is being asked to reckon with our past and make better choices about our future. Douglas County is not exempt from this moment. This is a moment that matters for public policy, for our communities, for our businesses, and for the economic future of Douglas County. I'm Shannon Portillo, and I'm excited to run for County Commissioner in the 3rd District and push for change in our community. Douglas County has been my home for most of my adult life. I came to Lawrence to attend KU for undergrad and stayed to earn a PhD in public administration. My parents followed me, and Douglas County became our family home. But as a young child, I lived in Chicago, where most of my extended family still lives. My father's side of the family immigrated from Mexico and truly lived the American dream, starting small businesses and growing them into successful restaurant chains. Their successes allowed for more opportunity for my father, and in turn, more opportunity for me and my brother. Their focus on striving for the American dream through entrepreneurship and hard work gave me a deep respect for small business owners and a deep awareness of my own privilege. I'm so honored to have the support of several small businesses in our community, including downtown institutions like the Raven Bookstore and Wonder Fair, as well as Mosquito Farms, and real estate agents like Tom Harper. I've devoted my career to understanding how rules and policies shape public organizations, specifically focusing on understanding how we can strive to have more equitable organizations, particularly at the local level. After spending 5 years on faculty at George Mason University outside of BC, I returned home to Lawrence and am currently a professor in the School of Public Affairs and Administration and an administrator at our KU Edwards campus in Overland Park. My partner, Javon Bremby, is a native Lawrencian, and we recently purchased a home in West Lawrence, close to his family home. I've spent my entire professional career studying local government and public serving organizations to understand how society can be more effective, equitable, and make more inclusive decisions, particularly in the criminal justice system. My life and my campaign are led by 3 values: accountability, community, and justice. Democracies work best when we're inclusive, representative, and accountable to voters. So I'll listen to voters and push back against jail expansion and invest in the alternatives that strengthen our community. We can do better as a community. As we focus on recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to consider what kind of community we want to be. I'd like to invest in our community by focusing on social services and weaning off a reliance on a very high sales tax. I'll work to make sure that our budget and policies are in line with goals and values of our community. I've served on the board of directors for the Willow Domestic Violence Center for the past 5 years. We have an annual operating budget of $1.5 million, and every month we review our finances. The budget, at its core, is a values document. I'm proud of the values that we have in the Willow, and I'm excited to shift the values that we have in Douglas County to be more in line with our voters. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Willey, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting us today, and I'm very glad to be back at the Sellers with everyone. My relationship with the Chamber started with my membership in the 2020 class of Leadership Lawrence, which is a fabulous program, and we're still actually going on that year because they haven't figured out how to graduate us virtually. I'm honored to be stepping onto the advisory board for that group to keep going the leadership training that we offer across the city of Lawrence and then also into Douglas County. I run a small farm raising grass-fed beef cattle in southern Douglas County. I call it Blue Stem Farm. But my business experience actually started back in kind of late graduate school when my husband and I started building houses in Baldwin City. We did all of the design work. We did most of the building ourselves. We managed to maintain them for 15 years and then sold them recently. We've also had Blue Stem Machine Works, Inc., which was a small manufacturing company. We made heavy-duty forklift trucks for the machinery moving industry, and we were able to prove out a new product line of our own design, and then we sold that to Landau Corporation in Marysville, Kansas. So I have a real heart for small business and barriers they face and challenges, and I think there's a lot we can do in our community to better support our small businesses and growing businesses. So because I think that businesses that start and grow here are going to stay loyal here, and we have a better chance of having those be a part of our economic driver than necessarily bringing in large companies from elsewhere. For the rest of my background, I moved around a lot as a kid with my parents, and so when it came time to choose a college, I followed the family tradition and came to KU as a third generation to go to KU. And I had a family history in Douglas County that went back to 1857. So I have a BA in Environmental Studies and a PhD in Geography, both from KU. I serve on our Lawrence-Douglas County Planning Commission. It's a volunteer-appointed commissioner position. It's kind of a trial by fire for public engagement around land use decisions. And in terms of fire also, I have served for the last 7 years as a volunteer firefighter for Willow Springs District 3, also in southern Douglas County, that we respond all over the rural area for that as first responder. I taught geography and ecology while I was earning my PhD, and now I put the theory into practice on my farm, which I run kind of as a research opportunity to pilot new conservation techniques that we can then model for other farms and other farmers in the district. I volunteered with more than a dozen organizations in and around Lawrence, probably well more than a dozen organizations in and around Lawrence for the 27 years that I've lived here. So I bring a much needed diverse background to my work at county government. When I filed to run for the county commission last winter, I committed to talking about equity, economics, and environment. As we work through our COVID recession and recovery, we'll get to consider all three of these. So thank you for having us here to talk today.